The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Not in isolation, not in lockdown. No, we're just snowed in today. Snow. We got knee-deep snow in Toronto, and before anybody from the rest of the country is like, I do that all the time. Yeah, because you live in that part of the fucking country. We don't live in that part of the fucking country. We live here where it snows 3 to 4 centimeters mostly. And I've never, like, the city is dead. It's a dead city.
It's the biggest storm in 23 years, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. They've shut down all the major routes. Police are like, please go home. Everybody, it's nuts. I haven't seen it like this in a long, long time.
Is
the
it
biggest storm
or routes?
Ooh, I think either
roots. Roots?
Because roots are for a tree.
Right?
Yeah, but English is a silly language, Jesse, and there's lots of words that sound the same.
It's true.
And like when you're a wide receiver, you run a route, right?
But you could argue that a route is like a route is like a root, Jesse, because it is that which binds us together, kind of like a root in the ground.
A root brings a tree nutrients.
That's right.
That's how it works.
And we are the nutrients that keep the city
I thought it was funny.
Oh.
Nutrients. Just Steve, nutrients.
Well,
have you ever heard a British person say jaguar?
Jaguar.
Jaguar. You're like, wow, that is really aggressive. Hey, so I got a question for you before we get started here. I want to talk about, and if you're from anywhere south of, like, I don't know, south of Pittsburgh, I don't know if this matters to you, but what is, I want to talk about snow etiquette. Can we talk about snow etiquette for a second here? If you've never seen
I've been anticipating this story.
Okay.
Very interested in snow etiquette.
So okay, let's be straight here. This is a terrible snowstorm. It sucks. And I don't have a huge driveway. Thankfully, my garage quite literally backs onto a laneway. So there's nothing to shovel, right? But the front, you got to shovel, down because, there's the sidewalk and everything. You got to make sure people can walk by. It's your duty as a citizen, if you can possibly manage it, to clear as much snow as you can, at least, onto your lawn or onto the road or whatever you want to do. So my neighbors are never home, never, ever, ever home. And I always shovel their walk because our walks are sort of adjoining, right? Like they quite literally are right beside each other. It's the same interlock. It's the same stone. They were put in at the same time. They are joined as though they were one. So all year, being the guy that I am, you just shovel your neighbor's walk and you do their sidewalk because you want to, right? Because that's a good thing to do. If you're the first one out, you should shovel their drive, or you should shovel their walk. So I drive in today, and I was saying to Steve and Jesse, I had to drive into work today. It's on a morning, like I drive in at like 5:15, 5:30. It takes me 8 minutes to get to work from where I live, if all the lights turn the right way at the right time.
What a dream.
It took me 35 minutes to get from A to B this morning. And that's just because the snow was so crazy. So I get home, and again, it takes me another half an hour to get home. No problem, like no big deal. And none of the neighborhood is plowed. So there's like those 2 little tire tracks from the other big SUV that made it through. And I'm so grateful that I drive a pickup truck because I was able to kind of maneuver my way through, and everybody's car is covered in like 2 feet of snow.
That Honda Ridgeline's really working.
That's right. Yeah, you guys all make fun of me for having a Honda pickup, but boy, did it work out well today.
I don't say anything about your Honda pickup.
And it was so bad, guys, that to park in front of my house, which you have to parallel park, there were no cars, but I had to get a rolling start backing up and then doing just so I could slide it in because I had to go bust through the snow to park my car.
Toronto drift.
So once I get my car parked and I'm about to walk up to my house, I realize, obviously, and again, like above knee deep snow, my walkway is not shoveled. Fine. My neighbor's walkway is shoveled. And not only is it shoveled, but he's left some of the fucking snow on my side. And I'm like, listen, I know you're never home, and he probably doesn't know that I shovel his walkway every time. But the salt in the wound was he just left his snow on top of the snow that I already had to shovel. And I'm just wondering, and maybe this is there's probably hardcore dad energy right now. I get it. I'm just wondering do I have a right to be a little bit miffed?
Did he do the specific scoop and put on your side?
Well, so you know how you it's like you drop and push, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a little bit, there's that, you can tell the difference between snow that's just fallen out of the sky and snow that's been moved.
Yep.
The snow that's been moved was on top of the snow that had been falling out of the sky on both sides.
He moved his snow to your side.
Yes.
And he pushed a little.
Well, he had a lot of it was on his side, on his lawn, and I get it. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
But then he put some of it on mine, as though he'd flipped a few and I'm like, and guys, you've been up my walkway. It's 2 feet wide. It's not like this is long. I mean, it might be 10 feet from the street, and it's 2 feet wide. It's not hard to just shovel it. Just shovel it. Do it.
Yeah, it's a minor transgression, but because of how easily avoidable it is, you're 100% in the right to be miffed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm on your side here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Snow etiquette's a big thing. I didn't realize until I was a grown up and owned my own house that all the things my mom and dad taught me about snow etiquette were 100% right. For example, and this is a very suburban thing, you know how you'll have your lawn and maybe you'll have a neighbor on this side and you share the lawn. Then you have a neighbor on the other side and you have this, it's not a lawn, it's a tiny strip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At all costs, you do not put snow on the tiny strip. You're brushing snow off the car, you have to do a little bit, that's fine. But you do not do half and half.
Right.
And have this ridiculous wall that ultimately is just going to tumble
Collapse
onto their side of the driveway. Because now you're creating more work for them. How far do you have to shovel on the sidewalk between houses? I think we all know what the parameters are, what halfway between the two houses is, but just general howdy neighbor etiquette is you go past that. If you're the first one out there, to me, I do my sidewalk, this guy's, and that guy's.
What
Both
you
sides.
just said, that's the most important part of this whole thing, the sidewalk etiquette. That's if you're the first person out, that's exactly what you do. And then the other person repays the favor at some other date. But anytime you go out there, because I since I was, 10, my parents made me shovel his driveway. It was my job. Yep. So I went up to my neighbor Ann, she lived there. I went all the way to her driveway on the other side. You go all the way to the other side. You got to do it every single time.
My dad would wake us up at 5:30 in the morning if it snowed on a school day to make sure that we could do our neighbors. It was important to him.
Wow.
So what he would do, he's right. So he had this oil guzzling fucking environmental hazard of a snowblower. My family is responsible for global warming with this fucking machine. I'm not kidding. And it was so bad because my dad was super cheap about this. I don't know why he needed to buy this rust bucket piece of shit, but it took him half an hour to get it going every time. And once it worked, it was working fine, but it was puffing blue smoke in the air. And so we had a couple different shovels, and one of them was those old rusty ice scraper heavy shovels. Yeah. And it worked really, really well. But he would send me out and he'd be like, you do the walkways, and we had Hal and Lois on one side, and we had Jim and Vera on the other side. And he said, you do Jim and Vera's, and then you do Hal and Lois's sidewalk. And then when you're done, if I haven't caught up with you, you start doing their driveways too, because they're older. And you do that.
We had a neighbor. He was the only one on our little block who had an actual snowblower. Everybody else was the shovels. And he used to go out into the street and do the street in front of his house. Because he had the time and, he's just a dad.
It's amazing.
Why not snowblow some more stuff?
There was a guy in our neighborhood today. And I don't know why he has this gigantic snowblower, but he does. We don't have driveways, so I'm not really sure what he's doing with it. But he hooked around the entire fucking block with this thing. He just did all the sidewalks for everybody.
He's
on
showing
that side.
off.
Not on my side, on that side.
No. He spent too much at Canadian Tire and needs to get his money's worth.
I better use this.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
What is it?
He is taking responsibility for who he is.
Yes.
And that is snowblower guy. He is snowblower guy. Not every street. I'm sure there are more affluent neighborhoods where everyone is snowblower guy. My street is not that street. There are a small handful of snowblower guys.
Right.
And when you're done being snowblower guy to yourself, it is your responsibility to march down the street and be snowblower guy for at least 2 other neighbors.
Yeah, 100%.
2.
Yeah,
100%.
I accept my responsibility for who I am, which is salt guy.
Oh, you're salt guy.
I am salt guy. I took up this mantle about 3 years ago because instead of, going out and getting the salt, and you get your tiny little bag and you basically out of a salt shaker from the kitchen, and you're like
a little
rationing
baggie of cocaine, just like
yeah.
salt your drive.
A little bit. Yeah, all it needs a little bit of salt. I just need a little bit of salt for the walkway. You don't do that. No, nice and early in the season, you get a bunch. You fill up one of those Home Depot buckets, and then you do your walkway every time. You cut open like a thing of orange juice or an old laundry detergent, whatever, and that's your scoop. And you salt your walkway, and you salt guy. That is your role. And if you don't respect your role as salt guy, all society collapses. It's true. It's true.
Salt guy's a little lower on the list for me because sometimes,
guy. Oh yeah, definitely.
Sometimes salt guy can be the lazy guy.
I think I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean.
Guy comes out after everything's kind of been shoveled. The 2 neighbors already did his parts of the sidewalk, and he comes out just tossing. He doesn't even need the big coat. He has his regular winter coat on. He's just tossing salt. He's only out there for 5 minutes.
He's out there like Salt Bay, like I helped.
I did my job here. I tossed the little salt. I only have 1 pair of pants on. I know I'm not going to be out here for a long time.
Yep.
So, Steve, don't be that salt guy, because salt guy could be a bad thing.
I'm not that salt guy.
Okay.
No. And you know what, Jesse? It's good that you brought that sort of salt guy up, because they give salt guys a bad name.
It's true.
And I'm here to tell salt guys to do your part. Just do your part.
So I want to conclude the story because I also want to mention that this guy had done his sidewalk, but of course had done right up to the middle of our walkway and left it.
No,
so he did his, like, I think our lots might be like 30 feet wide max. Like these are not big houses, and they're not wide houses. So he might have, or I don't know, is 30 feet a lot? I don't even know. Maybe it's 15. They're not big. They're Toronto, right? And like, they're tall, but they're not like wide. And so he's done like his like 15 feet of fucking his sidewalk and then just left it for me. And so I did mine. So here's the thing. He clearly did his a couple hours ago because some snow had fallen since then. So here's what I did. I cleared the sidewalks, both sides, because sidewalk is not personal. Sidewalk is what you do for the city. You do that as a good citizen.
Society.
That's right. You do that for
John
society.
Tory.
Yeah, but for him specifically,
there was probably about 3 or 4 inches left on his walkway because it had been a while since he shoveled. So do you think I cleared those fucking 3 inches?
I hope so.
No, I left him. I don't even care. I'm sending a message. And by the way, don't worry.
You don't be vindictive, snow guy.
Don't worry. I'm going to go out and get it after. But I had to come down and do the show. And I'm like, you know what? I want him to look out his window and go, fuck. And then I'm going to go out and do it. I want him to know. I've been shoveling this guy every time it has snowed since early March when we moved in. I've been shoveling this guy's snow. I've been watching his house. And the reason I shovel his snow is and make sure his mail isn't fucking everywhere. I've seen him 3 times in my entire life. The reason I do that is because if people case houses, they look at houses where it looks like people aren't home. So I shovel his walk so it doesn't look like he's not there.
Old dad thing.
Oh, no, you're right about that. Like, you're not wrong, you know?
So anyway, listen, was it petty? Absolutely. But sometimes, man, you got to put your foot down and send a message, okay?
Just be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Just be a good neighbor. Here, last thing. I have a neighbor next to me who's never home. They're never home. I'll shovel his entire driveway.
That's what you should do.
Yeah,
that's
if the snowfall is light enough, I'll shovel his entire driveway because he's never home. Right? Like, who knows? It's going to snow tomorrow and then the next day and then the next day. And then it's going to be this big job for him to do. No, you do it when you're not home, because I'll come home after garbage day And my recycle bins and green bin will be right in front of the garage door. I still don't know which neighbor does it.
That's
I still don't
nice.
know.
Oh, wow.
I still don't know. I've been here 7 years. I still don't know. And I hope to never know because I just like it being one of those things. He didn't know I was the guy shoveling his driveway every time until one time he happened to be home and he walked out and he like caught me. And I was like embarrassed. And then you know what this guy does? A couple years ago, or was it last year? It was in recent memory. I'm shoveling a hellstorm. I'm like, oh, my back hurts. This is taking forever. I'm sweating. Doesn't this dude come out with a snowblower I didn't know he even had? And all of a sudden, a half-hour job turns into 5 minutes, and it was great. Just be a good neighbor. That's all anyone's asking.
If you can truly build up some good trust with your neighbors, I know neighbors that will allow other neighbors into their garage, like give them the code to use their snowblower, like if they're not home. Yeah, that's how it was. Like we're on my street where I grew up. That's how it was. And I'm seeing, here's the thing. My neighborhood is really community. Like they go all out for Halloween. They go all out for Christmas. There's a lot of kids. That's why we moved here. Cause I wanted Everly to grow up on a great street with a bunch of kids. And I like everybody's out today helping each other out, digging out.
This
like
one fucking guy.
And do you want to know why? Do you want to know why he's even home? Because he's selling the house. He's home because he's selling the house. And it's like, dude, I'm glad you're selling. I hope the next person gets it. Get out of here.
Steve, you need a new house?
Yeah. Well, I bet this is really affordable. What's it, like 600 grand?
Super unaffordable. That's why I'm renting this house. I didn't buy it. Who could afford that? Anyway, listen.
If you have a neighbor who's never home, like they're never in their house, that you got to mow their lawn, you got to shovel their driveway. That's a thing. It's not like we live in the most dangerous city in the world, but you know, you don't want people to know that no one's living in a home. So as a neighbor, as a good neighbor thing, definitely shovel the driveway. That's very nice of you, Steve.
You're a good man, Steven. You're a good man. You're a better man than I.
I've always had great neighbors. You know what I had growing up? I miss this neighbor. We had, and they would literally reach over the fence. We made too much food. Like, here, take some of this food at a barbecue. And like, they would have like 30 people in their backyard. They had an enormous family. And you made too much food? How much food did you make, sir and madam? But we would get it. It'd be good stuff. Oh, God, I missed that.
So listen, I mean, there's a few things that we want to touch on today. I think the first thing is the Oilers. We got to talk about them. I know we have to talk about the Leafs.
Oh, be careful.
What?
Oh, because we're from Ontario. I don't know.
What, did we get anti? I thought Oilers fans were amazing last time. They were like, yeah, we agree. At least that's what I saw.
I don't know. I'm feeling sheepish lately. I can't feel like I can't talk about anybody.
Well, that's because no matter what you do, somebody's going to be upset. But Steve, the thing is that you could have people upset at you, or you could have nobody tweet you at all.
I know. I'm baghead now. I'm baghead now.
You're baghead now for what?
Criticizing the Leafs for blowing leads far more often than anybody else.
Well, we got it. We do have to talk about that, but I do want to quickly touch on the Oilers because I think the Leafs are absolutely. We need to talk about it.
I'm not sure.
Let me just talk about this.
Do we got to talk about hockey? I don't know. Let's keep talking about snow.
The Oilers. There was rumors today about a press conference. Now, Jesse, you did the CJ show this morning, and to give a little top line, because Chris handles a lot of this stuff where when you see rumors going around, you ask Chris, right? So what did he say?
Just that no coach looks to be letting go in Edmonton anytime soon. It's not something Ken Holland does very often. And it looks like Tippett's job is safe for now. Any rumors of a firing happening this day or this week is probably not definitely going to happen.
Okay. And CJ expands on it, on why, but
yeah,
on the shows, you check out his show.
Yeah.
But I think, I am surprised. I'm still surprised at how many Oiler fans think I think maybe because the proximity of Vancouver, right? There's a coaching change in Vancouver. Vancouver Canucks are looking amazing. They won again yesterday. Like it's amazing. But do we think that and again, I maybe my answer would have been different even a week ago, but watching Connor McDavid's press conference last night after losing to the Sens, it was hard to see that. Like they lost to the 30th place team. Is a coaching change going to change this? Are we sure? Even if it did happen.
Like, all right, they don't have Mike Smith, right? And I'm not here to slander Mike Smith because the Oilers are talking like all they need is Mike Smith to come back. Okay, it's hard to play without your starting goalie, for God's sake. Good teams get wins. They get wins with the backup. They get wins with the third. We've seen them get wins with the fourth and the fifth. Vegas, as an expansion team, got wins with Oscar Dansk and Maxim Lagacé. Michael Hutchinson.
Malcolm Subban too? Maybe?
Yeah, but he was like the backup.
Oh, he was.
Yeah,
that year for the first bit. There are other teams too. Like, Jesus, goalies win. You get win. Joseph Woll, man.
Yeah,
like he's got some wins. Rookie goalies, you're able to get wins. The Oilers have won with Mikko Koskinen before. They've won with Stuart Skinner before. They're not winning anything right now. So to put this squarely on goaltending, it's just not real. And looking at Connor McDavid after that game, I'm going to, let's ignore the previous conversation we had about McDavid and being aloof and combative and all that. Like, it's losing to the point where it's toxic, right? There are losing streaks and teams get mad and they get a little prickly and they find a way. The Oilers are not finding a way, and there's how would you describe McDavid at that press conference? Remembering that that's not just the team's best player, it's their captain.
I saw dejected. I saw you know what it is? It's apathy. It's like it almost, and you could see it a little bit with the Evander Kane comments. And maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe I'm misreading the guy, but it just feels like he doesn't give a fuck. And that's the problem, right? Like, Leaf fans, we saw this during the Horacek part of this season, and I think it freaked out MLSE. They stopped selling out games because people were like, why the fuck would I go see that? And the Leafs could sell out anything at any time. When they were at their worst, they were still selling out. And with Connor McDavid, what I see is a guy who's so beyond frustrated. It's like, what's the point? Why would I even get mad?
There it is. So it's not about him not caring by nature.
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
So that was something that I maybe didn't communicate properly the last time. It's not about him not caring by nature. It's that he's broken a little bit in terms of spirit. You can get that back. You can unbreak it. It heals. Who's going to provide the cast? Anybody? Bueller? The Oilers? That's a layup. You got a 3-1 lead on the Sens. Come on. And it was hard fought at the end. One of the Sens scored with a helmet that wasn't even his. Did you see that?
Yes.
It's a big problem there. But again, they find themselves in a similar situation to the Canucks, like you mentioned, where the Canucks didn't act right away because they were like, oh shit. This wasn't even on the agenda. This wasn't a consideration of ours. Do you think the Oilers considered they would be in this position?
No. What's happening right now, when I look at Edmonton, I'm shocked. And I can't imagine. And that's how I think McDavid has some of that in him as well. Just shock and awe. And because they shouldn't be out of the playoffs this year. The Edmonton Oilers should be a playoff team. And it wasn't in the realm of possibility that the Oilers would miss the playoffs. None of us had them outside of the playoffs. They have McDavid and Draisaitl. They just need some people around them and a little bit of goaltending. They'll make the playoffs.
And they had support cast scoring last night, by the way, too.
Yeah, and that didn't even work. So I I would be dumbfounded too if I was just a member of that organization, because it was out of the realm of possibility that you'd be sitting here with 47 games to go, well outside of a playoff spot.
Something there. So Ken Holland, I think we agree he hasn't been there long enough to get fired. Like GMs don't get fired after 2 seasons, but locking up Barry, locking up Cece, trading for Duncan Keith at full cost, trading Ethan Bear, locking up Darnell Nurse a year ahead of time to 9.25. Those are all in the same summer and all on defense.
Well, you're forgetting the reason he had to lock him up a year early, Steve, is because he bridged him. He bridged Darnell Nurse as well. Let's not forget that. He was the guy who was like pushing for the bridge deal.
What an unholy catastrophe. What a catastrophe of a summer. All at one position. And goalie? What goalie do you think you're going to get? I tell you what, if Marc-Andre Fleury gets traded to the Oilers and they do anything of consequence in the playoffs with that defense, the Hall of Fame argument, if there ever was one, is over. Put him in.
There's not one.
Put him in immediately. Rename the Stanley Cup after him. Make So
you went from one extreme to the other.
No. I'll scrap the Conn Smythe Trophy. It's out of date. Why is it in the shape of Maple Leaf Gardens? Just make it into a flower with immaculate teeth. I'll let an artist do a rendering of that, because seriously, yeah, they're not getting goaltending because their defense is catastrophic. I didn't bring up the depth guys because that's not, they're depth guys. Like that shouldn't make or break you. It's your top 4. Their top 4 is abysmal. They got a guy. They got one guy and a guy who's going to be a guy, but he's too young to be the guy at the moment.
Takes a while to be the guy on defense.
Takes a while to be the guy. And now they got all these postponed games and they're going to play 50 games in 40 nights or something coming up. And that gives them some runway to make up points. But, oh, my God, is the rest of the season going to be so hard for them.
So you've really got 2 options. It's you undo your own moves that you did like 4 months ago, which I don't think any GM is going to do because that's your own moves and you're not going to admit you're wrong. Or you fire a head coach to try and motivate the guys. Or you stand pat and you throw the season in the trash and you have the entire ownership group on top of you upset. Like, so it's just lose situations here. And I don't know which lane to pick.
The interesting little thing here is the Oilers farm team, the Bakersfield Condors, is doing spectacularly. And I can't remember the coach's full name. Woodcroft, is it?
It's Jim Woodcroft?
I'm not sure. Jim is a good hockey guess. I'm going to type in Jim Woodcroft and we'll see.
Mike.
Is it Mike Woodcroft?
That's a good
There's
guess.
a James Woodcroft. No.
Jimmy.
No. I don't think it's him. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Ted's a good hockey name too.
It is.
Yeah, but it's a bit of an older one.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of Teds lately.
Yeah, well, maybe he's like a younger coach, like he suffered an injury and so he started coaching early. It's Blazin Woodcroft or something. You know what I mean?
Turbo.
Yeah, BLEHYZ''N. Blazin Woodcroft.
What do you guys do? Do you fire the head coach? Do you trade a bunch of guys? Do you stand pat?
You mortgage the future to get somebody in the door for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. That's what you do.
Man,
you don't have a future without them. And here's what I was thinking, right? We were talking about the apathy thing earlier. Like, I don't know if this is as bad as it's ever been in Edmonton, but it's close. And what did we say the last time it got this bad? Like when Ken Holland took over, we were like, tick, tick, tick. Connor McDavid, tick, tick, tick. How long is he going to want to be here? And it wouldn't shock me if at the end of this season he said, I can't fucking do this. It wouldn't shock me. Would it shock you? Would Oilers fans blame Connor McDavid for that?
No, dude, that's the crazy thing. I've seen a bunch of tweets. Mm-hmm. I've seen a bunch of tweets like, bro, go get it somewhere else. I mean, that's who knows? Maybe trading Connor McDavid is what turns the whole franchise around. Andrew Berkshire sent me a fascinating text today. I don't know. Every now and then he just sends me an interesting hockey text because
he's good for that. And you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah, he's just doing research all the time. He told me the Quebec Nordiques drafted first overall in 1989, 1990, and 1991. They built a championship team within 5 years with none of those players. Matt Sundin, Owen Nolan, and Eric Lindros, all of them out the door, and then they won the cup. So, just when you think it's darkest, and I always say that's the magic factor. There are times where you could look at a team on paper and it's just a piece of shit, and you go, they're going to overachieve because we're all thinking they're going to get 30 points next year, and that's just not how hockey works.
I want to say
overachieve.
I want to say this.
I think a lot of people are going to have a bone to pick with you for counting the Avalanche Stanley Cup as the Nordique Stanley Cup.
Oh,
what did you just do there, Steve?
No,
yeah, where are they from? Quebec?
That's true. But no, would Patrick Waugh have ended up with the Quebec Nordiques if they had not moved to Colorado? Would that trade have happened? I don't know.
No, there's no way.
That's such a good point. It's such a good point.
It's not
Patrick
a Quebec
Waugh was
Stanley
kind of
Cup.
important. Yeah, I mean, I feel like
that's
the Quebec City,
really good point.
Quebec City would have won something eventually. They would have had to sort out their goaltending though. If they had held on to Jose Theodore, they wouldn't have won. And he was good.
Thibault.
Sorry, Jocelyn Thibault. I don't think, no offense to Jocelyn Thibault, who had some good years. I just don't think he was cup caliber. Now, I want to say this about the Oilers. The frustration that the fans are feeling, obviously the players are feeling, whatever. I mean, 10 games from now, this could be completely different. But I think, and we know that, right? If they win 7 of their next 10, it's a different conversation. But I want to mention this because every time the Oilers get good or have a good streak, we go, okay, now's the time they're going to take off. And we've been doing this for 6 years. Okay, well, maybe not 6, maybe 4 of those 6 years. Remember, they went to the second round, I think, in Connor McDavid's second or third year. And everybody's like, okay, now's the time. Miss the playoffs the next year. And they go through these streaks where they win a lot.
Yeah.
They win a lot. And then we go, okay, now's the time. Now's where the Oilers go. And every single time this happens, there's good, bad. It always evens out, and they always kind of end up where they are. So with the next time that these guys fly, which they will, Connor McDavid and Leon will take off again. It'll happen, and they'll explode, and everybody will be like, wow, this is crazy. They're so great. And they are. I want to remind everyone of what we're seeing right now and how I will consistently, sort of like with the Leafs, be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Every time the Oilers do well, everybody's like, yeah, see, fuck you, Toronto, man. Like what? I
didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything. Like I'm happy. I want Connor McDavid in the playoffs, winning a cup. I want that. He's from Newmarket. I want that. I want it. But guys, this happens every time, and every time we're like, I can't believe this. I just can't believe this. It happened 40 times. Come on.
Yeah, but I'm like that with the Leafs. Every year, I'm like, no. As much as I'm dreading everything, this is the year where the correction comes. This is the year where they break through. And that's why I was still so flummoxed at what happened against Montreal. Like, you saw the look on my face. I looked like I saw a ghost because I'm like, are you There's no way. There's no way. There's just no way. The writers of Space Jam couldn't have come up with this shit. Oh, anyways.
Yeah. So anyway, long story short, whatever changes happen in Edmonton, I think it's absolute. Like, listen, I know that I've been hearing about Bakersfield for 2 years. I have to be honest, as somebody who's seen it with the Marlies, we saw them win a Memorial Cup Calder Cup. And some of those players made it. Some of those players were good players. Janssen, Kapanen, Dermott. Who else? Like, there's a lot of players on the team that on the Leafs currently that played for them.
They had a lot of NHLers.
Yeah, a lot of NHL for sure. Moore. But from that championship team, everybody's like, "Wow, watch out! The Leafs are this good in the NHL, and their AHL teams winning championships." Let me tell you something. It's going to be 2 to 3 guys max that really come in and make a huge difference.
AHL team success tricks you.
That could be enough for the Oilers. Like if they could get a couple 40, 50 point guys out of that team, great. They could get one steady defenseman out of that team, great. Awesome. They still have a goalie who was born in the Stone Age. No offense, Mike, you're doing great. So you can't rely on him for too many games. And you got another goalie whose contract's expiring, so hopefully you can figure that out. And I think that don't rest too much on the AHL, guys. We've seen it. We did it. And they were good players, but we did it. And the Leafs still lost. So just remember that. Like everyone's like, oh, next season. No, like Connor McDavid's like 25. Like, when do you want to do this, guys?
Right.
The moment I knew they were gonna really struggle to have success is this summer when they decided having a right side that was 2/3 CC Barry. I'm looking at their defense right now. That's what we saw. We
saw that in Toronto. We know what that looks like.
Yeah, like, so as a Leaf fan, like, that's why I feel uniquely qualified to comment on that. Like, I'm not talking about Matthews versus McDavid or anything. We literally saw this not work in spectacular fashion for 70 games plus a bubble.
Yeah.
And you gave them more money than the Leafs did to do it again? Get him a television. Get him every streaming package. Get another job. What? Are you kidding? Right now it's Nurse. Hey, Cece. Oh, Keith. Barry. And then by the time you get to Lagus and Bouchard, you're like, oh, but like the top four is so bad it doesn't matter. Get a clue. Dude, you put Cale Makar on the right side above CC Barry, it doesn't win you shit. That's horrible. No, it doesn't.
I mean, it might win you a few more. You might do better. I think you'd do better.
You do better.
He'd be third on the team in scoring, okay?
You do better, but like, get a clue. There's no...
Yeah.
CC had a good time in Pittsburgh.
Because he was working within a system that continually brings in players that are cast-offs and makes it work. Well, the Pittsburgh system is amazing. They bring in players, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? And he wins the Conn Smythe. He's got this, he's got a thing.
He's got this Jack Johnson like magic about him where he'll play 9 bad games and everyone just watches like this with their hands over their eyes. Right. And then they play one good one and they go, see? And I watched every shift of that game and he was great for every one of them. And then he's bad for the next 9. And everyone just talks about look at it. Look at how good he is. And I'm just like,
here's the thing.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean.
The Pittsburgh system is so strong that Chris Kunitz got to play at the Olympics.
I mean, hey,
they booted somebody off that team cups? For Chris Kunitz. Yeah. Sorry, guys, but and Chris Kunitz was a good player. Are you going to put Chris Kunitz on it? Are you honestly going to go back on the 2014 Team Canada, and go Chris Kunitz for sure?
I'd have to know.
Fucking for sure. No, he's there because Sidney Crosby says he's there. That's why he's there. Why he's there. And like, listen, you don't have to like that, but it's the case. He's not the best winger at that position. Get out of here.
It was Zach earlier in the year when everyone was like, Zach Hyman should make the Olympic team. It was the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's got intangibles. He brings these things.
Zach Hyman was playing great, though. Hyman had better numbers.
Way better than Kunitz.
Whatever they want.
So here's to wrap it all up. It's a problem in Edmonton. And again, I'm going to ask the question. And here I am, Toronto guy, stirring up all the shit. TikTok, baby. When does Connor McDavid say this is hopeless? Because Oilers fans are already saying it.
We're a little bit away from it.
Okay. I talked about this last show. Mm-hmm. As a Rogers employee working for the rights holder here, I saw a tweet that said, right now, January 16th, whatever it was, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the only Canadian team in a playoff spot.
Oh.
And I actually almost fell.
Is that true?
Yeah, I actually almost fell to the ground. Oh. Like the mathematical odds, are you please no.
Oh, that's
please
bad.
McDavid stay there and win. Please.
That's so bad.
Please. You can say all the mean things about Toronto and Ontario you want. Just win. God, good God. Please win. For the love of God.
I think Vancouver's going to make it. The more I watch them, I think they're going to make it.
God, I hope so. I mean,
they're on their way up.
Even in their losses, they got fight.
Yeah. You know? They're looking great. They're fun to watch. If Vancouver's back, man. They're bubble Vancouver again. It's great. I want to move on to the Leafs.
A lot to get through, but
I want to move on to the Leafs. Because what we saw on Saturday. What's that?
Canucks are one back of the Oilers.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're 1 point back of the Oilers?
Yeah. With 3 games in hand, the Oilers have, but what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Sorry. Anyway.
7 years in for Connor McDavid, the 7th year. I think he's going to give it a little bit more time, but like you said, Adam, it's probably ticking.
Drafted in 15. It's 2022, ladies and gentlemen.
He rebuilt his own PCL quicker than the Oilers rebuilt their bottom 6. Learn something about hockey. Good God.
Well, Steve, they tried to rebuild their bottom 6 last summer. That's what they tried to do. Like, these are the pieces that are available. Mm-hmm. We got to get Duncan Keith. No, we don't. Yes, we do. We need him at full price. I'll pay anything. I'll give you anything. Cap space. Fuck it. What do we need that for?
Hey, cheers to 2022. May hairy balls be forgot and never brought to mind with Manscaped. Does that work? No, it didn't work. All right. Well, did you see the ball drop? That's Steve's. Did you like that better?
I thought it was.
Okay, listen, all I'm saying is with our exclusive offer, you go to manscaped.com, use the promo code DANGLE. Get it? Because it's for your balls, and you get 20% off and free shipping. I already told you about the Performance Package 4.0, where you're going to find that signature lawnmower 4.0, the electric trimmer designed to trim hair on loose skin. The advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate areas. It also comes equipped with a 4,000K LED light. That's a lot of TVs. And that will make sure that you reach the promised land and not other things. And you don't want to cut the wrong things down there. You know what I'm saying? So here's the deal. For the new year, let's keep those balls shiny and clean with Manscaped. Be sure to travel to manscaped.com for our exclusive offer. 20% off and free shipping with the code DANGLE. And cheers to your balls in 2022.
Hey, what is HelloFresh? With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. You can skip steps to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make cooking easy, fun, and affordable. It's why it's North America's #1 meal kit. Now, it's a new year, and it's a great time to focus on what's important to you, whether it's saving money by ordering less takeout, learning to cook, or prioritizing your wellness. HelloFresh is here to help you with endless options to make cooking at home simple and enjoyable. HelloFresh delivers pre-portioned ingredients to your door. Like I said, farm fresh produce, and it's easy to make. I'm terrible at cooking. You can get it done in 30 minutes or less, and they actually have some quick meals that are 20 minutes or less, low prep, easy cleanup, and the fastest route to getting food on the table. It's awesome, and you should definitely check it out. So here's what I want you to do. To try it out, go to HelloFresh.com/SDP16 and use the code SDP16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gift cards. So again, HelloFresh.com/SDP16, use the code SDP16, up to 16 free meals and 3 gift cards. And of course, you want to try it. It's North America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh. Anyway, I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs. So listen, it's if you're not directly in Leafs Nation, I want to explain how it is right now. You've got Leaf fans that have bled for a long time. We saw this team be bad for a long, long time, all of us. Mm-hmm. And we saw a little light at the end of the tunnel. I remember that April 13th, 2016, I think it was. It was my birthday. That's how I know this. The Toronto Maple Leafs get the first overall pick. And I remember, like, in my living room audibly yelling. I remember, Steve, I think you did something for Sportsnet that night.
I wind sprinted around the studios. There's a behind the scenes video. I got to find it somewhere, but Story, who we had on our podcast, Story Sayers, she was recording my reaction and streaming it. And there's a behind the scenes footage of me sprinting and her sprinting after me.
Amazing.
We got to find it. I ran by Damian Cox and he's like, who the hell is this?
I'm going to reblock that guy on Twitter. Anyway, I think I think, you have to understand where this comes from. And then, of course, obviously there have been some heartbreaking losses along the way. And at anytime a team loses, there's reasons why they lose. They're young. Capitals here. Now they're young again. Boston first time. Well, they're not so young, but the head coach isn't optimizing play.
Yeah.
Right? Second Boston year. Fire the head coach. Bubble season. Didn't show up against Columbus. Lost their best defensive defenseman. Fair? Yeah. A miraculous comeback in game 4. But without Muzzin, they were not the same team.
Well, and with the bubble, they were almost shut out 3 straight games. Game 3 is the one where they blew a 3-0 lead and lost. They almost got shut out in game 4. They were 3.5 minutes from getting shut out. And then the
comeback, crazy.
The single most miraculous comeback in Stanley Cup playoff history, like even ahead of maybe on par with the Boston game 7 one. The difference was that was game freaking 7. And then in game 5, they got shut out.
Yeah.
Boo. In an elimination game, boo.
So then the next year, their captain takes it's an unfortunate accident that happened with Corey Perry. But like if you compare the Leafs and the Habs rosters, and I understand Montreal made the Stanley Cup Finals, and I understand that Carey Price is the goalie. I get it. The Leafs should have shut it down in games 4, 5, and 6. Right?
The Habs are currently worse than the Arizona Coyotes in the standings. Like that's the thing.
They're the last place team.
The last place team in the league, and that's coming 6 months after they're in the Stanley Cup final.
Sorry,
this is a one-off. This is a one-off to me, though. I will say that for Habs fans.
Well, no, because Carey Price, we're never sure if he's ever going to play it the same way again. And Shea Weber's never coming back.
The lineups didn't compare to any team they played. They should have lost to Vegas. They should have lost to maybe Winnipeg. They should have probably lost to Winnipeg. They should have lost to the Leafs. They lost to the Lightning. Like it was, I still don't know how they did it. And I'll be dumbfounded for the rest of my life.
So there's a reason, Jesse, you nailed it. You so nailed it. And this is why I'm bringing this up. Against all odds, they lost every time. One of those game 7 should have gone their way. One of them should have gone their
way.
Jake Gardner forgot to play hockey. That happened.
Mathematically, there should have been a game where they got outshot 40-10 and 1-2-1.
Right. Flip a coin.
Travis Dermott decides to turn around for some reason.
Yes. Like I'm going to do it. I'm going to press circle, spin around.
Let's go.
We outshot them 13-0 in overtime. Oh, boo-hoo.
Spinorama time.
So this is the problem, right? You got Leaf fans on one side are like, listen, I need something to believe in. It's really shitty in Ontario right now, and I want this team to be good. I desperately want them to win. I desperately want them to win. And they did win on Saturday.
Yeah.
Then there's the other group of Leaf fans who are going, yes, they won, but they should have won in the second period. It should have been over. And what they did was they let the St. Louis Blues, who are admittedly a very good team, back in. And the problem is, with Toronto Maple Leafs hockey, you can never be sure of any lead, no matter how wide. And we've seen this for the better part of a decade now. I think everybody can admit to that. So what I want to ask Steve is you did a video about this. And I had by the way, I had a blast with that St. Louis game. Had an absolute fucking ball. I loved watching it. It was a fun game.
I got to watch 2 periods of it with Sid Sixero on the stream. It was great.
Why are people so mad at you?
I don't know. I mean,
what did you say in the video?
I went over the top for sure, as I will do, but I don't always do that. I do that when I think the moment calls for it. And I thought the moment called for it. And I wasn't even lambasting the team. Like there was very little criticism of the actual team. It was just, oh my God, it's always the Leafs. Always the Leafs. You can never have a moment's peace. In a 4-game span, everything I'm about to say is true. In a 4-game span, they blew a 4-1 lead, a 3-1 lead, and another 3-1 lead. They also had a 4-game road trip that included St. Louis, Vegas, and Colorado, and came out of it with 5 out of 8 points. We're going to leave out the fact that the only game they lost in regulation was to Arizona. Mm-hmm. But
It's bizarre, isn't it?
It's
the Leafs are the best team.
What we've come to expect.
The Leafs are the best team
the
in the National Hockey League since November 1st, and that's not good enough.
No, but it's not. Well, Jesse, it's not.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were trying to dig at me. I'm like, this is why I feel like I'm taking crazy pills and people are not. Like, do you just have the web browser on your TV and you stare at the standings for 2.5 hours every Saturday? That's your night. Watch the games, man. You don't see this happening again. We even proved earlier this road trip, when they blew the lead to Colorado, that they're the team who does this the most. Statistically, they're the team that does it the most. No, I'm being mean. Okay.
I don't think.
What do you want? They're great. Hooray!
It's bizarre to me.
You want me to take? No, I think what people want is for me to take nothing from every game.
No,
I think it's 6-5, and it's great because 6 is bigger than 5. The end. Every video it's a TikTok. It's just 15 seconds. And the final 10 I'm just staring at the camera because I've already told the story of the game. They won 6-5, the end.
Right.
Because of everything Adam outlined, nothing you say is going to convince anybody on either side of the Leafs argument that they're right or wrong. Because until the playoffs happen and they don't Leafs it up in the playoffs, all of this, if you're like, hey, the Leafs are good right now because they're the best team in the National Hockey League, you're on that side and you can't be proven wrong until the playoffs. And if you're on they need to play better because they need to win in the playoffs, you can't be proven right until the playoffs happen. Right. So it's this weird limbo, and it's a very difficult situation for you who has to comment on every single game kind of rationally and point out with the flaws and what's actually going good.
It's teetering on religion.
Well, yeah, that's what you're dealing with, though. You know that.
Yeah, that's what fandom is.
Do you believe or don't you believe? Some people are going to believe and others aren't going to, and we're not going to know which one's right until we die. Except death is the playoffs, right?
Yeah. So here's what I would say. I think what we all need to
Jesse,
do to bridge the gap. Here's what I want to say. Okay. What I see from the Toronto Maple Leafs is a very, very good hockey team. You got some great surprises here. You got Michael Bunting is fucking awesome. He's such a piece of shit. I love it.
I love him. He's our piece of shit.
Michael Bunting. Andre Kasha was playing great. Simmons and Spezza are doing what they need to do. You could show me all the advanced stats that you want. They're not very adding a whole lot. I don't fucking care. We've had advanced stats darlings in those positions, and they've done diddly squat. So I'm totally fine with them doing what they do. Morgan Riley looks good. Rasmus Sandin looks elite. Muzzin's clearly playing hurt. Justin Hall needs to find out who he is again. Loved seeing Liljegren get a goal. Here's what I saw Saturday night, okay? Here's my balanced take. I saw vintage Mitch Marner and vintage Austin Matthews. Mm-hmm. Mitch Marner hadn't played since December 2nd and came out there, and in the first period, to me, was the best player on the ice. He was stealing pucks. He's creating turnovers. He's doing everything that Mitch Marner does, and he never gets enough credit for this. Everyone's like, he's a great playmaker. He's a great playmaker. What I love about Mitch Marner's game is his takeaways in the neutral zone and his takeaways in the offensive zone. Just when the team thinks that they're about to break the puck out and he's in there like a little mosquito, literally taking it away. And
that's how he scored.
He's probably as tall as I am, but for some reason, Mitch Marner, we have him pegged as small.
I will die on the hill that he is 6 feet tall.
There you go.
I've met him. He's 6 feet tall.
So my thinking in all this is, so that was all good. But let's look at some of the goals against. And that was, 2 of them at least, were the Matthews line. And Matthews has been very, very good defensively. Saturday night
was tough.
Was really fucking tough for that line.
Ryan O'Reilly sunned him hard on the first goal.
Yeah, and that is going to happen. Ryan O'Reilly's fucking awesome, and that is going to happen. The thing with the Leafs this year, part of why they're so great, yes, they've got elite scoring. Yes, their defense seems to be much better than it has in years. The last couple of years have been really good there. They're riding a Vezina candidate goalie, guys. They are. Jack Campbell's been... What's that?
Which is great. Hooray.
It's great. But Jack Campbell can't be almost... He's like a millimeter away from less than 2 goals a game. He can't do that every night.
No.
So at a certain point, the structure of this team and the best line on it have got to play some defense. If Jack's not having the best night, and I didn't think the goals were that egregious that were scored on him, honestly. No. But they happened because of defensive strategy breakdown. They did.
The stupid thing about that is that you could do that 16 times in 2 months and win the Stanley Cup.
Totally.
100%.
Jack Campbell could stand on his head 16 times and all of a sudden you have a Stanley Cup.
Jonathan Quick with the LA Kings. And that was a great Kings team. But Jonathan Quick was the guy.
He was unbeatable. Unbeatable.
Simply a wall. And here's what I want to say about the Leafs. Here's what they are, okay? They're very exciting. They're quite erratic. Period to period erratic. If they had a good first period, you can bet that they're going to come out slow the next 5 minutes of the second period. You can count on it. Count on it.
They get scored on in the first 4 minutes of each period in that game.
Well, there you go. But it
was faster each period.
They do have this bit of je ne sais quoi about them. They've got a little bit of magic, a little bit. And it seems to be growing. And I'm excited about it because the last 2 years have been depressing as hell.
Oh, you're talking about the opposite.
This team is, to me, this team's a contender. It's just a matter of can they pull 4 games in a row at 60 minutes apiece together for 4 straight rounds. Haven't seen that yet, but I know they're capable. You know that they're capable. They can do this.
Steve, but you think they have the yips?
They've clearly got the yips. How many games have they come out and shown they're the better team?
Most games, they're the better
team.
And
then...
like 99% of the day.
It's the yips. What do you do about the yips? What do you do?
What they say with John Lester, I remember I read a book on the Cubs winning their 16 World Series. He got the yips in Boston to throwing to first base. So he literally, as a pitcher, if he picked up a grounder, he couldn't throw it to first base. So the Cubs signed him to like a 5-year deal and had to work a strategy around that because they weren't going to try to make him throw to first ever. And that's what they did. It's kind of crazy when you read it. Like Theo Epstein, who's like a fucking genius, is like, well, we just signed this all-star pitcher who, if it's a ground ball to the pitcher, it's gonna be a definite on base. That's crazy.
The Leafs' offensive zone defense, if that makes sense, is clearly better than in years past. Teams have a nightmare time trying to clear the zone on the Leafs, and I think that's how they won the game. Yep. Their neutral zone defense clearly better than in years past. Nylander is one of the best first half of the neutral zone defenders in the league. Like, he's a thief. He's a Mark Stone level thief in that one section of the ice. It's harder to gain the zone in the back half of the neutral zone. The Leafs have a stronger stand up at the blue line. But what the Blues figured out in that game and what the Habs aggressively figured out in games 5, 6, and 7 is if you crash with enough force, they go, fuck, and they just collapse towards the net in a way that is unbelievably unhelpful, and it's just going to eventually go in. Because they're going to get enough whacks at it because you're all standing in the same spot like children, and it's going to go in. They're not strong enough in front of the net when that happens.
See, I agree. But I think them winning in St. Louis told me a lot.
That they were able to overcome it?
Yeah. I think that was a big one. I think that's a big win. More than especially that last minute. That last minute was nail biting, edge of your seat. I was screaming at Natalie and I are screaming at the TV.
And you know how I know the Leafs know? The Leafs feel exactly how I do. Morgan Riley throws the puck over the glass with 6 seconds left. Sheldon Keefe is laughing on the bench. He's laughing that his top defenseman almost fucked the game up. Because it's the yips. And Morgan Riley, the way he looks up, no one's been there longer. No one. They drafted him in 2012, coming up on 10 years. And he's just like, oh my God, it's me. It's, if this was going to go sideways, it was going to be one guy, and fuck, it might be me tonight.
But they did it.
But they did it. but they did it. There have been, how many games have the Leafs won in recent memory where they've looked mad heading off the ice?
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's so clearly, where is Paul McLean when you need him? I don't think he's with the team anymore, and he friggin' should be, because he
got ghosts under the couch and ghosts in the car. And
demons in the team. He was right.
He was right.
He was right. All right, boys, let's have a good... Nope, check your mouth guard. There might be demons in there. All right, before you put your gloves on. No, there might be demons in the gloves. Here's your stick. Nope, tape a different one because there's demons in that stick. It's so clearly... Like, listen, they're not a perfect team. They do lack certain things. No team is perfect. Maybe Tampa. But no team is perfect in the NHL. Avalanche fans will tell you they're not perfect. That monstrosity of a team that just seems to be steamrolling everybody. They're not perfect. But the Leafs' imperfectness is something that no other team can describe. No other team can relate to. Not in this sport. Mm-hmm. Not in hockey. Not a chance.
So this is that, but this is it, right? And I think first off, I don't think Steve's intention is ever to be quote unquote mean to the Leafs. I don't think that's the point of LFR. Am I going to be mean today or not?
Yeah.
I think what it is that sometimes people are going to react to what we don't want to hear. And I put we in there because I want the Leafs to win the Stanley Cup. And I want them to be a fucking shoe-in January. Even though that's unrealistic. Yeah, that's completely unrealistic, but that's what I want. I want them to be perfect now, and I want them to be perfect for the next 80 games or whatever it takes them to get there. The reality is this team is going to get your heart up. So I think we sit back, we accept what they are. There is a little bit of magic with this team. There really is. And enjoy this. They are gonna sometimes in the second period make you want to vomit a little bit and let in a bunch of goals. But I think at the same time, like, I don't know, man. I believe in this squad more than I believe in the 2020 or the 2021 squad.
They're better.
They are better. And they lost. Look at what they lost. Like you run down the names. I mentioned the Murray, Kapanen, Johansson. Sorry, not Johansson.
Johnson.
Who else? I mean, they lost. Who? What's that?
Trevor Moore.
Trevor Moore.
The ghost of Nick Foligno.
He's an NHL player.
Well, I know, but like, let's talk about some of the significant. Yeah, Hyman is gone. Like Hyman's gone, and they look better. Like I feel Bogosian's got. Like there's something about this team where I'm like, this team's really, really good. What's that?
Freddie.
And where I'm not,
you sort of forget about that one.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't great last year.
He also wasn't the starter in the Montreal series.
That's true. Where I'm not concerned is this. If it's the yips, Steve, the yips are what? What are the yips?
It's literally just it's in your head. It's you.
But what is it? What is it?
You become afraid of the thing you're good at.
Fear.
There you go.
Fear. It's fear. What do these guys have to fear anymore? Really, what do they have to fear?
Well, doing it again.
No. Listen, if you go to game 7 again, you've already lost game 7. You know what that feels like. You know that the sun comes up the next day. Even if they miss the playoffs, it's like, well, it's better than losing a game 7, isn't it?
No,
yeah, sure is. Let's go.
This time, there's consequences.
That's what they said last year. Listen, there's no fear. There should be no fear on this team. I think I'm right. None. They've experienced, guys. They've experienced this shit. They've
consequences
been through
for
this.
who? For who?
Somebody.
Not for them.
Coach and GM.
Players.
Fart. No,
maybe.
They're fine.
Fart. No. Maybe. I don't think so.
You don't think we reopened the trade one of the big guys conversation?
I don't think so.
One.
Yeah.
Maybe.
One of them. They're not having that conversation with Austin Matthews.
The yips
They're
are
not
real.
having that conversation with Morgan Riley.
I know the yips are real, but what I would say is they've experienced the depths of heartbreak before. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is they got up and they trained and they got back on the ice. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. And I think all that shit is finally going to be like, okay, well, like the worst I can do is go back to that and then try again. So why don't we just win? And I think they're going to win. I think they're minimum second round team this year. That's what I saw on Saturday night.
God, I hope so. Here's the era that we're in. Brendan Shanahan came in with the young kids in 2016-17, and he tried to erase the demons.
Yes.
And what he discovered is putting up a bunch of cloves of garlic and changing the banners didn't do it. It didn't work. Changing the jerseys didn't work. It worked for the first 82 games. And then the Demons said, guess what? It's Halloween in the spring. And Sheldon Keefe laughing when Morgan Riley put the puck over the glass, to me, that wasn't him. That wasn't what the Leafs have been doing, which is trying to change the narrative of what the Leafs are. To me, that's embracing the narrative of what the Leafs are. Genuinely finding humor in your team, almost bottling it. That is the sort of thing they need, because they already tried the toughen up and just barrel through it approach. It didn't work. I need the William Wallace speech where he talks about shooting fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his arse. We need a little bit of levity here. And that, to me, was the most encouraging part of the game. Sheldon Keefe laughing and then them ultimately holding the fort.
Yep. Because they can. Because they can do it.
Because they can.
Start to believe we can do it.
Geez, now, the Blues are good, but they were missing like a big chunk of what makes them good.
Totally.
That's your win. And they won it.
Hey,
good.
I want to quickly mention before we go to press conference here, John Klingberg. Mm-hmm. So it came out that the extension talks with Dallas had fallen apart. I think he wants something like in the neighborhood of like $8 million. They don't want to do that. So he's going to get traded. What shocked me about this, because like, who knows where the hell he's going to go? It's probably Vegas, because they somehow always find a way. Vegas or Tampa, really. What shocked me about the John Klingberg thing, and maybe it's because I'm too far away from the painting to see it, is how quickly they were like, okay, we're trading him now. Like they broke off discussions. And usually in these kinds of conversations in the NHL, what happens is both sides get mad. One side says, we're going to get traded. The other side goes, yeah, okay, we won't miss you. And then they talk and they talk and they talk and they talk and they talk, as well as try to work out a trade. A trade can't be worked out. So then they re-sign and it's all fine. What I'm curious about with the John Klingberg situation, and he was quite frank about it, and the Dallas Stars have been quite frank about it. To me, sometimes negotiations, anybody, your negotiations can turn sour. I want to know what the hell happened. Because really, at the end of the day, we're talking about a very, very good player for them who generates offense on a team that struggles to do so. He's got 17 assists in 29 games. This guy's a very important piece of the Dallas Stars. What happened in the negotiations? To me, does that not feel personal to you?
Yeah. And if you listen to 32 Thoughts, you come away thinking it's absolutely personal. He's 29 years old. He was drafted in 2010. He's been with the Stars organization the entire time. He is a star. Like, what? It's going to be weird seeing him in somebody else's jersey. Yeah. But I think he did everything he could for the organization, and it was time for his payday. And dude, oh my God, I'm just looking at this. He had 21 points in 26 games in the bubble and was never talked about because Miro Heiskanen had 35. You know what I mean? Right. So I think there's probably some disrespect felt there. And I think you're going to see a lot of this, or I don't think it's surprising to see this sort of thing with a player looking for their big payday, because the collective bargaining agreement is designed in a way to screw players like John Klingberg. This is supposed to be his big payday, but they make you wait to get your big payday until giving you a big payday is a bad idea. He's probably looking for 8 years, but now you're giving a 29-year-old 8 years. 8 years. It's the same thing people were saying about Morgan Riley. You lock him up to 8 years, $8 million. He's going to be 37 when that thing's done. That's a problem. So the CBA is designed in a way, and because it's a bad idea, you're not going to do it. Right? It's designed to keep salaries down. So if you're Klingberg, you're probably like, all right, I was a soldier for you, but I know you're going to do right by me. And they're not doing it.
With Klingberg, yes. I likened it to anybody who's worked at a company for like 5 years, and you're like, okay, I deserve a raise now. Like, it's the time to bump up my salary. I've been working at this salary for the 5 years that I've been here, and I've been a good entry level employee. And now I'm moving up, and I need a bump in my salary just for my life. And the employee's like, no, we're not going to do that because we don't want to pay you. And you're like, okay, well, I'm out. Like, yeah. I can go. There's 31 other National Hockey League teams. There's other jobs out there. I can go find somewhere else to get me a paycheck.
Yep. This dude makes 4.25.
That's crazy.
What a great holy shitting deal for the Dallas Star. Yeah. Oh my God. Was it 8 years? 7 years. A 7 year.
Like, he's owed back pay on that just for the discount that he's been taking all these years.
Oh my good Lord. And like, listen, I know a lot of you are like, well, I'll take that money. Yeah, but
you don't play good hockey as well as John Klingberg.
Yeah, you're not. I got news for you.
I'll take that. If you do anything as well as John Klingberg plays hockey, then you'd be making that kind of money. Me too, by the way.
Right. Even if you were that good, you shoot left. Sit down. Sit down. He shoots right. He's better than you.
Good point. Like, good point.
He's more rare than you. His skill set. Yeah, I can totally understand. And again, you look at society. And Klingberg is doing what a lot of people are doing with minimum wage jobs. But people are more willing than they have been in decades to say, fuck you, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm worth. And if you're not willing to pay me what I'm worth, I'm friggin' leaving. And companies have been saying, all right, yeah, you go ahead and try that. But they've been caught off guard by the fact that people are actually doing it.
Yeah.
And Klingberg, it sounds like at the first sign of disrespect said, get me the fuck out of here. And I don't know. It's nothing against the Dallas Stars, but I kind of respect it.
I respect it too. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like that organization. I like what that team does. They play like them. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, the good teams play like them year in and year out. But this is a problem for them. And I know they have playoff aspirations, and it's going to be difficult to make it if you trade this guy.
Ooh, man, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to me. Something weird. Let's do the press conference.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
Real quick, we were talking about the Oilers goalie situation. Stuart Skinner just got placed on COVID protocol.
Oh, boy.
Dude, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
Earlier as well, we were talking about how you were watching the draft lottery and you ran around, Steve. You might not remember, but you were live streaming the draft lottery with Jeff Merrick and Luke Fox and yourself.
That's right.
On Sportsnet. And the video is on YouTube. You can go look it up, and it features you running around. So we don't need to dig up this video. It is it was live streamed, and you can go watch it.
I didn't know that made the final video.
So if you search
I made a lot.
Maple Leafs winning the first pick, the second result is Steve and Jeff Merrick and Luke Fox watching the first pick happen.
That was Jeff Merrick wanted, oh God, what was it?
Winnipeg?
Jeff Merrick wanted Winnipeg to win because he wanted to make the t-shirt, "You take our team, we take your children." What? Because Arizona-born Austin Matthews would then be playing for the Winnipeg Jets, and Arizona took the Winnipeg Jets. So he wanted the t-shirt, "You take our team, we take your children." Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
That's good. First question was about John Klingberg, actually, and Costa. On our Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, go to sdpn.ca and join right now. Do the Leafs go for Chychrun or Klingberg?
I'm just not sure Klingberg is the sort of player they need.
They got Sandin and Riley. I don't think they need Klingberg.
Yeah, like if you need someone on your power play, you 100% go get him. He's tall, 6'3", but I mean, the Leafs already have a couple guys on the back end who are kind of big for nothing. So, you know, he's a great player. I mean, he'd make the team better, right? But he's not necessarily the type of guy they need. And Chychrun, I don't see quite as a match either. They need a top four. It'd be great if a top four right-handed D who plays like Muzzin was available. Plays like healthy Muzzin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I'm not going to punish him for offense. It's just you need to be known for defense too.
Yeah.
Next question. This is from Aaron. Just wondering if you guys are excited for the PGA Tour Netflix documentary. It's supposed to be similar to the F1 one. As a golf
I hadn't even heard of it.
I can't wait for people to get into the sport and golf, the sport of golf, and see the players' personalities. So if you didn't see, Netflix has started following around golfers in the PGA Tour, and they have permission to film at all 4 majors and a whole bunch of other tournaments. So they are coming out with their own version of Drive to Survive for the PGA Tour. It's going to be released, I don't know, I guess at the end of this season in the fall, but they've started filming and they have permission for all the Grand Slams. So it's going to be fun. Are you guys excited?
I'm excited for their catchy name. What are they going to call it? Can't call it swing to survive. Pass the par the bar. I don't know.
Par for the course.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh. I am excited because golf does have some great personalities right now. And I think the over-reliance on Tiger Woods for the last 20 years for anything golf-related is distracting from the rivalries. And there's some, like, honestly, some, like, great personalities who don't like the typical golf shit, which is very, like, you have to wear these shoes and you must wear this pants. And you, like, you know what I mean? They don't work that way. So I kind of like it. I love the idea. I don't know if you're going to get Steve into golf, but
I'm into it. No, it makes sense for me to learn to golf because you two both seem to like it. And also my Scottish in-laws really, really like it. And I don't know. I think it'd be a lot more fun if I was any good.
It's all the people that you play with, though. Like if you play with people that take golf too seriously. The reason I stopped golfing regular is I watched a family friend wrap a golf club around a tree, and I was like, "Hey, gang." I'm like, I'm not gonna do that anymore. Like I just don't enjoy that. Like if you're out there and you're like, "Fuck, I can't fucking believe what kind of round I'm having." I'm like, I don't want to do this. That's why I stopped playing softball. People are like, "What the fuck was that? Why did you throw it for?" It's like softball. Chill the fuck out.
We played one softball game.
Oh, Jesse, we killed it.
That fucking team we played. A few of those people took softball a little too serious.
We had a great team. Jesse and I were fucking murderers row, man. We killed it. It was great.
3 and 4 in the batting order. It was a good time. Salty snacks. Golf is the best hangout activity in the world, I think. You know, if it's just you and 3 other people you really enjoy, and I don't know if you have a couple of spicy pops while you're driving the carts around the course, like you don't even need to keep score. It's just a great time walking around with your friends. Like, I hope you guys watch this and get into golf, and it's a good time.
I don't know if I'll get into watching it because I watch too many sports, but I definitely watch the series.
I'm talking about the series.
Yeah, but like I would love to take up golf again. Once we have like one of these days, I'd like to have a free moment to do anything other than work. As soon as that happens, I want to golf. I want to golf with you guys too because it'd be fun. So I'd really like that. You know,
totally.
All right. Last thing that I need to bring up is the Homboldt Broncos and the Melfort Mustangs. Did you see their game that happened on Friday?
Did not.
No.
So on Friday, the Mustangs and the Broncos played, and there was a controversy in the game because a player was in the box for an extra goal. So the Mustangs took a penalty. They had a player in the box. And then when a goal was scored, the referees forgot to bring him out of the box and nobody noticed. And another goal was scored and the Broncos ended up winning the game. Crazy. right?
Why didn't he tap the glass? Like, hey,
nobody noticed.
He could have let himself out.
I don't know
That's
how
weird.
the refs incorrectly kept Melfort player in a penalty box, and Homboldt tied it and then won in OT. So that was around like 9 minutes left in the game. Melfort goes to the league. They protest the game. The league says, "You win your protest."
What?
So
what
does
do you
it mean?
think happens next?
They have to throw the game. They have to just erase it, right?
Replay.
You can't give the win to another team.
Replay.
Saturday, they're
replaying
back.
it.
They play the last 9 minutes and 42 seconds of the game.
No way. I love this. That's so great. Wow.
So Melfort and Homboldt were set to play again on Saturday, because that's how the league works. You play back-to-back games in junior all the time.
Yeah.
So before they start their game on Saturday, they play 9 minutes and 42 seconds of Friday night's game. So Friday night, from 9 minutes and 42 seconds on, it's a race from the history books. They restart with the player out of the box in the correct score that it should have been. The goals that Homboldt scored after that don't count. Melfort goes on to win that game.
Oh,
You got to televise that. I want to watch that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Because imagine the team that won the first one wins this one, and they go,
No. What I'm saying is that this happened last Saturday.
they replayed it?
They replayed it on Saturday.
Oh, they did. It's already done.
That's what I'm telling you what happened on Saturday.
Oh, so what happened?
They replayed the game. Melfort players in the box. They take him out of the box. Melfort goes on to score a couple goals, and they win the game in overtime.
Wow.
Yeah. So they, instead of having that loss, they win the game last Saturday.
Man, I love that. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
One of the things most under talked about, just rigged screwings in recent hockey memory for me, was the Marlies against the Norfolk Admirals 2012 Calder Cup final. They get scored on. The puck takes a weird bounce off the glass, and Norfolk takes advantage, and they score.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Weird bounce off the glass or not, Norfolk was offside. They were offside. But it's okay. The way they rectified the situation was after the game, the league announced that was offside, and we're sorry. What? Replay overtime. It's the final. Nope. We're sorry. We're very, very sorry.
So you think what happened here is the correct call? You bring the teams back and you replay the game?
Yeah. Stop fucking up.
It's an unprecedented decision. That's why I thought it was so crazy, because I don't think I've ever seen a team come back and play a hockey game after just an officiating error.
I love that. And officiating errors are going to happen. We're human beings. It happens.
Yes.
What we shouldn't do is encourage mediocrity, which is what we're currently doing with our current official corps.
Yeah.
It should be the best. Oh, if you fuck up like that, you're on probation. You fuck up like that again, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's crazy. It's crazy. We should be, we make these players work their whole lives. And, I know it's tough to be an NHL official. I'm not saying it's not. It's very, very, very difficult. But you should have to be at that high standard your entire career.
What about the time an umpire screwed up a perfect game for a pitcher? Said that they screwed up a perfect game for the pitcher, appealed to the league. Hey, me, the umpire who umpired that game, I screwed up. So undo that. And baseball said no.
Well, it's baseball. They're idiots. Ken
It's
Rosenthal.
a perfect game. No, it's not. It's a perfect game.
Ken Rosenthal is the best voice one of the best voices in the MLB. He worked for the MLB Network. He criticized Rob Manfred, and he was suspended. And then they just let him go.
Yeah,
this guy's on like ESPN. He's a writer for The Athletic. The guy's he's the best. And the league's like, we don't care. We don't need the best on our TV. We need somebody who just falls in line. It's fucking crazy.
For as much as I hate Gary Bettman, I think I hate Rob Manfred more.
Yeah.
Just because of how flippant he is with the sport that he's in charge of. Like one time
crazy.
he called the World Series trophy a hunk of metal.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember that? It was in the middle of the pandemic when they were trying to hand out the World Series. And he's like, I don't know if we need to hand out this hunk of metal. Bro, that's the trophy for your whole sport. That's the whole reason anybody plays.
That's the point. That trophy is the point.
Granted, it's a genuinely terrible trophy, but they've been playing fragile. Their whole life. Yeah. It's
why they make it so fragile.
Yeah. So he's wrong. It's several dozen hunks of metal. Like, what a piece of crap. But it's the trophy they've been competing for their entire lives.
Yep.
Yeah,
Idiots.
Boy, that's
all of them.
That's a stiff competition, Jesse.
Ooh. All right. Well, listen, I think we'll leave it at that. So we're going to see you on Wednesday and Friday this week. We're very excited.
Announcement?
No, I don't know yet.
You don't? I thought Wednesday was announcement.
I think it might be, but I don't know.
Oh, I'm going to fight you.
Hear. Don't worry, we'll hear. I haven't heard yet, so I'm thinking confirmation today.
I'm going to put chains on my tires and I'm going to fight you.
I know, fair enough. If you can get to me, you can fight me. I'll let you have the first punch. And I'll make sure that my neighbor puts all the snow in my walkway so you can't walk up.
Oh, no, it's you and me versus your neighbor.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much for listening. We will see you Wednesday and then Friday. And don't forget to check out the CJ Show with Julie and Mackenzie because they do a great job too. And they put out an episode every Monday and it's amazing. And they talk about the Oilers today. What else, Jesse? What else do they talk about?
All-Star stuff. They had some really good off the top of the show on the All-Star snubs because the All-Star game isn't really a showcase of the best players. It's just kind of these guys.
They're on a heater. Their show's been really good the last few.
Yeah, every show's great.
Okay.
Great
yeah, but they're especially great.
We love you. We'll see you next time.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.